Who do you think is going to win the election?
No. There's not going to be an election. Never was an election since 1996. Okay, there was no election in 2000 because it's a post-information society. Election is an institution of communication from the civic body to the legislative institutions. All those institutions are swallowed up in the death of the Android meme. So there's no communication. So you had an election in 2000 that got canceled and was decided by something called the Supreme Court. And everybody thought that sounded fishy and claimed it was conspiracy, but it was totally resonant with the fact that it's a post-information society. So there wasn't an election in 2004, and there's not going to be one in 2008. Then who's president? The president is who's ever winning in the polls. So right now McCain's ahead. He's the president. Bush ain't the president anymore. It's not an issue. It's who is it of those three candidates. So in whatever could happen over the next 6 months determines what the polls are going to do, and whoever the polls say it is in November, that'll be it. But that will be changed by March 2009. Whoever is in the polls and is dominating is the president, because the president is an after-image in itself. Serves no useful function other than reminding Americans and young Americans that there was a country that they could have grown up in, and they can believe that they're still there as long as they can. But they soon drop out, 14, 15 years old, they get into the drugs, ecstasy, sex, drugs, blah, 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 digital stuff. Japanese kids don't leave their bedroom now. You know about this problem. There's these kids in their late teens, they stay in their bedroom for up to 2 years. Parents can't get them to get out to function and do something. They're totally embedded in their chip body. So, that's the Japanese response to the chip body. The American response is, what is it? Is it jackass? Play with your chemical body, beat it up, blow it up. You know, there's all kinds of effects that are passing through. And the effects are what is the present. And the advertising agencies in Wall Street monitor the effects to see where the public's going with some effect, some fad, and they sell it back to them. That's how the economy's run. So now we've reached a point where there's no more money, there's no Wall Street, and everything's bankrupt, and the Federal Reserve runs it. So on one level, Bernanke is the president. We've declared martial law on Wall Street, and we will keep funding dollars from the Federal Reserve, which legitimately and legally has no money, but we believe it's got money somehow, so it funnels money in from other countries. So they're called sovereign wealth funds, and they have possessed the United States. In other words, there was no United States for 50 years. Now it's really, on a bureaucratic level, no United States. It's owned by international, what's called sovereign wealth funds. And China is the figurehead, like the Queen is for all the monarchies of Europe. It's the only one left standing. China is the only country left standing and the only banker left standing that represents this virtual network of sovereign wealth funds. So China is running the show. So China is electing the president. No, but the president ain't the president. The president is Bernanke, the head of the Federal Reserve, because where's he getting his money from? From China.
Chinese proverb.
A wise falcon hides its talons. In 2000, we stopped hiding our talents. It became total caveman panic, and everybody just started attacking everybody. And one of the symptoms was go into Iraq, and with our talons, grab the local oil. That's not for oil. That's just the oil companies paranoid and panicking that they're an obsolete medium. All caused by the post-information effect of the digital society. So Enron was a good symptom of the death of the presidency. And then we've had Enrons ever since then, constantly, though they're not talked about in that way. They're called subprime mortgage crisis, or credit crunch, or sovereign wealth funds.
Or Halliburton, or shady contracts.
That's right. So China...
But no one will investigate.
That's right. Yeah, well, they aren't. There's no... Bush ain't lying. This is the thing about Bush lies. No, you think you've got a standard of what's real, and you can judge his actions in information terms to the reality. There's no reality, no common consensus. So he's not lying. He's just talking. And his talking consists of nothing, no content. So the best we can interpret that is as it's a lie. He's lying because he hasn't given any solid content. No, he's got no solid content. Nothing to say. So the caveman reality of each other grunting, and so China has to prop up. China buys us. Then they say we can exist. It's like Enron. I give you a loan, you call it profit. China buys us, so that it can keep a global bipolar economic structure going. So it needs to have someone that is competing with and selling its products to or making products for. So it buys us and says, okay, you pretend you're separate from us and we'll give you products and you'll claim you paid for them, but you don't have to pay for them because we can't use the money you're giving us because we need to use it to give it back to you. So everything is constantly canceled, and that's called a tactile economy. The tactile sense, which is not a sense, interplays the sense data, but it's not a sense itself. That's the economy. It's a non-economy, a tactile economy, that pretends there's interaction among its constituents.
How do we work out a deal like that?
We did through technology. If you look at each environment and what it did, McLuhan wrote a book, Laws of Media. Read the Laws of Media, which tells you what happens in the print world, what happens in an industrial kinetic world, what happens in an electric tactile world, and what happens in the digital world. All the patterns were predicted and known by us in the intelligence agencies, and that's why we had to suppress McLuhan. What time is it?
10 to 5.
Yeah, we end on that point. Shit! So that's Bob on radio.